Tarmac terrorists and the potato.
Guten Tag, folks. Tarmac Terrorist here, and in this video we're going to take a virtual trip over to Germany because recently Reiza Studios have released their first bit of DLC content for the game, and I'm very chuffed to say it's Hockenheim, and I'm chuffed about that because I love this track. I liked it for a long time, since I first started racing it in Sims. It's one thing watching it on the TV, but when you actually get to drive around it, oh, it's a great track. I'm so chuffed to see it in the game. They've also updated the game, and I've got to tell you folks, I can't keep up because whilst I've been trying to make this video, which has been a fair few days actually, because I've been doing some rigorous testing, and I've had other things get in the way, like I've been ignoring my music a bit, so I've been having to pay some attention to this. So sorry I'm a bit late to the game, but it turns out I'm not, because they're still updating. Literally in the last 6 minutes, there's a new update. And I've just seen it come up, and the changelog is already up. Steam's just updated it for me. And it's version 1.0.1.2. There's loads of fixes in it, including fixes to the AI in turns 2, 6 and 8 of the modern version of Hockenheim, and also the final corner in the 77 and 88 layouts. That's with many other fixes. The ones I want to concentrate on are the AI fixes and the penalty system. There's another penalty system update in here as well. Now the DLC, as I said, it's the first bit of DLC for Automobilista 2. It is the Hockenheim ring, and you can get it for $7.99. But also, if you bought the game in early access, which I did, Reiza are being ever so kind to their customers who have been sticking with them, and they're giving it to us for free. Isn't that fantastic? Cheers, Reiza. And I just can't keep up with these updates. It's amazing. Now, for $7.99, if you are buying it, if I didn't have it, I'd be buying it anyway. For $7.99 for a track like Hockenheim, I'd be jumping on that, because not only do you get the current version of Hockenheim as we know it now, you also get 7, not 1, but 7 different layouts, including historic layouts going all the way back to 1977. So you've got several different versions ranging from 77 up until 2002, and then of course they brought out the new version, or the FIA demanded that they shorten the track and make it better for spectators and safety. So you also have the 2002 version in its many layouts: the full layout, short, long and international. So loads of value for money there. This track's got so much history to it. So many famous racing drivers drove there. It's undergone so many changes. The 1977 version, for instance, actually dates back to 1965, because that version was designed by a fellow called John, let me see if I pronounce this correctly, Hockenheim, who was also the designer of Suzuka track. And the 77 version up until about 2002 is that version, but chicanes and different bits were added, little bits were added over the years, because there were quite a few horrendous crashes there. One in 1968, which involved Jim Clark, which unfortunately took his life. So we're going to be paying a bit of homage to Jim Clark. Also, the modern version was designed by a fellow called Hermann Tilke, and he's a German racing driver, engineer and track designer, and his roster of tracks that he's designed, you wouldn't believe. It's massive. He designed tracks such as the A1 ring, which you'll also find already in the game. But in the game it's called the Spielberg circuit, another one of my favourite tracks. Now, the modern version of Hockenheim, there were about 37 Grand Prix held there, and it was kind of shared. The German Grand Prix was shared between Nuremberg, another one of my favourite tracks, and Hockenheim. And when that was, it came into establishment in 2002, the first GP there was won by Schumacher, Michael Schumacher. So we're going to be trying to pay a bit of homage to him, and we're going to be using F1 cars, old and new, on the historic version and the new version. So what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to focus on the 1977 version and the 2002 version, the full layouts, what I'm going to do is take a leisurely drive around the track, and we'll just have a look at it, and then we'll have a very quick race on each circuit as well, to check out the AI improvements, talk about the game a little bit. And then at the end of the video, there's going to be a bit of a surprise. Just a little a hint as to what may be coming for Automobilista 2. Now, as I said, I love Hockenheim, and I found out just recently that also iRacing are now building a version of Hockenheim. So I wonder who else will jump on this bandwagon for this fantastic German track. I'm hoping Studio 397 might even get in on this one. I'd love to see that in Rfactor 2. Also, I'd like to dedicate, seeing as we are going to Germany, I'd like to dedicate this to my grandfather, who was German and was from Berlin. He used to sit, my late grandfather, who used to sit and watch the racing with me and my dad, and great guy. So here's one for you, Henry, and Papa Henry. And I hope you're going to enjoy this, folks. If you like what I'm doing, please do me a massive favour and take the millisecond it would take you just to click the subscribe button at the bottom of the video here, or give us a like. Tell me what you think of the video in the comments section, anything I've missed. Right, let's go and have a look. So here we are in Automobilista 2, and this is Hockenheim. As you can see, we have in front of us the 2002 modern version, which we know today, and we have several different layouts of that. We have the national, we have two short versions, and then we have our historic versions looking quite different, quite a bit longer. These versions here are around 4¼ miles, whereas the modern version is much shorter, at about 2.84 miles. Now, this version of the track, ranging from 77 to 2001, as you can see, it's pretty much the same design. It was actually designed in 1965 by John Hockenheim, who I mentioned earlier. He also designed Suzuka, and then through the years, gradually it was changed ever so slightly, with these little chicanes being added. This first one was after Jim Clark's tragic crash in 1968. He came off the road at 150 miles an hour, just about here. So they added this chicane here to slow things down a bit and named it after Jim. Then in 1982, at Oscurve, this is Oscurve here, another chicane was added. You can see that's been added there, and that was after the French driver Patrick Depailler died in 1982, and also what was originally the second chicane was renamed in 1994 to Senna Curve, after, of course, Senna tragically died in 1994. Now, that's all very depressing, but I must say these drivers from the 70s, well, the 60s and the 70s, balls of steel, seriously, and the passion they must have had. Literally, they were risking their lives every time they went out on track. So, moving on, we're going to try and pay a little bit of homage to Jim Clark. Jim Clark, when he went round, was driving a Lotus 48, which was a 220 brake horsepower, 1.6 Formula 2 car, weighing in at 930 pounds, roughly 420 kilograms. Unfortunately, there isn't a car like that in the game, but we do have a Lotus, and it's this from the Formula Retro cars. This is the Lotus 72E. It's a bit different to what Jim was driving, the 48. This is 480 brake horsepower, so more than double the power. A little bit heavier at 1,400 pounds. And we've got a 5-speed box. Let's get to the track. This car, by the way, it was one of the most successful cars in Formula 1 history. It actually lasted 6 years, because it started off in 1970, built for the 1970s Grand Prix, and carried on racing all the way into the 1975 Grand Prix, before it was replaced by the 77 Lotus in 1967. And this is about the point where it wasn't quite keeping up with the McLarens and the Brabham BT44, of which there is one in this game. So it was equipped with anti-dive suspension, but this caused a little bit of lack of feel for the drivers, so that had to be revised later on. Needless to say, very successful car. So here we are on the track. We're in a qualifying session. We're not going to spend too long here. We're just going to take a little drive around the track and just have a look at what Reiza have done here. We're going to have slick tyres because we're in the dry for the qualifying. For the race, we're going to be in the wet because, well, Jim Clark's race, it wasn't raining at the time, but it had been, so the track was quite wet. So I can't have a wet track and no rain in AMS2, so I'm going to have light rain. But for this little practice drive, we're going to be dry. We're going to be dry, is what I meant to say. So we've got our AI set at about 85% skill because I am not that skilled, especially in these cars. I hadn't driven this car until I decided to do this test. And the aggression is set at the default of 50. So let's get out there. So first of all, we've got Nord's curve. And that brings us on to our first straight down the forest section. Now, as you can see, as we get into the forest, there's not a lot of space for, well, there's no grandstands. You see the odd spectator dotted around the track. And this is why the track, one of the reasons the track has changed in 2002. Because, well, in 2000, Rubens Barrichello, on this version of the track, he won the German Grand Prix, starting in 18th position on the grid. So what an exciting race that must have been, especially for the spectators, who didn't get to see most of these fantastic moves because most of the overtaking moves he made were in this forestry section on the chicanes that are here. There was one here at Oscurve, which isn't in this version because this is 1970. They added that later on. But you saw a bunch of fans there. Down here, none. There's hard for fans to get access. And there were other reasons as well. A lot of the crashes and spins happened down here. There was one driver that spanned so many times. He was dizzy for several days down here. This chicane here, that's Senna curve. That was named after Ayrton Senna after his crash in 1994, which tragically took him at Imola. And then we come into the stadium section, which is the section that is relatively unchanged compared to the rest of the track nowadays. So we've got Sash's corner here. It's heavily banked left-hander there, and then our left-right chicane into Sud curve or South curve, and we come into the grandstands to our main straight. There is the pits and the grandstand there. Now, here's a little interesting fact about the track that Reiza have included. See these barriers here? I suppose put there to slow any cars down that came off, something going into the stands. In a lot of games, those would either be solid, even though they're just wooden and well, chicken wire, or you just drive straight through them and nothing would happen. One nice little touch that Reiza have done. Look, these are actually deformable, and you hit these. As you can see on the right there, it's telling me I've got severe damage through trying to drive through these. F1 cars being very delicate, you shouldn't try and drive them through fences. And now look, my steering is now all over the shop. I can still drive the car in a straight line, but it's damaged the car enough that I've got plenty of play before the car actually makes a turn. So I'm quite pleased to see that the damage has been modelled quite well. For instance, if you hit a wall, if you hit one of these barriers at 70 miles an hour,
Well, that's your car completely screwed, really. It'll become almost undrivable. It'll just crab down the road. You won't be able to even drive it like this. And I'm driving at 70 here. These barriers, by the way, these were also put in after 1968. They were not here when Jim Clark went off. So he went off at 150 with no barriers straight into those trees. And unfortunately died, well, probably fortunately for him, died instantly. This is his chicane. They named it after him. Graham Hill, his teammate, went off into the forest afterwards to try and find his records, figure out what happened. He picked up what was left of the cockpit, which was about 3 foot's worth. He picked it up just by the steering wheel. The crash was apparently due to a deflating rear tyre. These F1 drivers really are just what they risked is amazing. So it's nice to see that Reiza have decided to show us what that was all about with this historic version. Anyway, that gives us an idea of the track. You've seen that now. Let's get back to the pits and let's see what a race is like with the new AI. So we're going to skip to the end of this session and continue and change to wet tyres. As you can see, it is raining. I really do hope, guys, that I can get through this race without completely screwing up. Let's stick on our wet tyres. I deliberately haven't tried to do qualifying because I want to start from the back of the grid to see what the AI are like. Now, when I tried after the first update earlier this week, or earlier last week rather, there are still some problems. So I'm interested to see what this update today has done. And there were problems with the cars slowing down horrendously in corners. These cars, these old F1 cars, you really want to be driving them on the throttle or braking. No room for coasting, because they either want to understeer terribly or they want to snap oversteer and kill you. And the only way to make them turn is under braking, but gentle braking. You really don't want to be too stabby with these cars. You want to gradually brake them into a corner, use that trail braking, and you want to keep on the accelerator as you're coming out to get them to turn, but you don't want to stab the accelerator because it will then, the car will do a massive slide, you'll then come off, that front end understeer will kick back in and you'll end up just coming off the track completely. Anyway, let's see how we get on, see if we can finish this this race in the wet. Here we go. I am using mirrors, my virtual mirror, because I'm not sure what the AI will do, so I want to see what happens if they get in front of me. Not too bad a start there. I have found that the AI are much better than you in the wet. Not too bad round Lord's Curve there. No one's crashed out so far. A little bit slow though. Yeah, the AI, this level of wetness aren't too bad. I can keep up with them, but if you try storm weather where there are puddles don't seem to affect them, whereas it definitely does you. And in a storm, you just cannot, whatever you do, accelerate like they do. You can't put that power down. They seem to be able to do it. But that's in, I'm talking extreme weather. Now, I tell you what, since I started doing this on Friday, Saturday, and the cars were crashing all over the place through there. Oh, noticed a little glitch in front of me there. They weren't doing too well at all. It looks like this little... oh, hang on, I spoke too soon. There's one car going off there. Mind you, I suppose, on the first lap of a Grand Prix, with these old cars, you might expect there to be one or two cars not make it around the first lap. That's not bad, though, compared to what would happen in an online race. But we all know that absolute clusterfuck that happens. Oh dear, locked up there a little bit around centre curve. The AI did slow down there as they should have done. I didn't. That was my fault. But so far, I've got to say, just today's AI improvement since the weekend yeah, I'm quite impressed. I'm quite impressed already. You'll have to excuse my terrible driving. I'm really not good with these cars. You really do have to slow down for this curve, else you're understeering like crazy. It'll just push understeer. It's a bit like the Brabham. I've tried the Brabham similar to this. It's in this game. It's a 1970s car, and this isn't an Rfactor 2, but the Brabham is, and the Brabham has quite bad understeer at low speed in Rfactor 2. Not quite as pronounced as this. Let's slow down for Nord's curve. Yeah. Just hitting those outside chevrons there. Graphically, this game's performing just fine. I mean, I think it looks great. You might not think so on my system because my potato has to have low graphic settings to run stuff. But so I've got some of those turned down, but it is running absolutely fine. I'm sitting here at 67 or 77, around 67 to 87 FPS. With I think I've got about 29 cars on track. I think that is a Brabham BT 44 coming past us there. They were supposed to be a bit quicker than the Lotus, so I'm not surprised to see that overtaking us. More of those deformable barriers there. Really nice feature I like about this game. Little deformable barriers and bits and pieces around the track. Apparently they've updated the bumpiness of the grass as well. I've heard in online races a lot of people are saying they've got to do something about the grass. It's just too ridiculous if you hit it. But I don't want to sort of try and test that out. I want to try and stay on the track and finish this race. I've got to say, folks, so far I'm racing the AI and they're doing well. Look, also that guy's gone for, he's going for the overtake. No, leaving him plenty of room. Oh, he is on my inside there. He's going for it. Smooth, clean pass. Yep, the AI are definitely getting better. Now, yeah, there you go. Just stab the throttle a few times and it wants to slide. And then I come off and it understeers straight over a curb. Let's see if we can gain this position back. I don't think, oh, no, not going to do it. Have a bit of a slide there, wrestle with the car as the track gets wetter. I am liking the wet effects in this. You find the dry line, you can really feel the difference in grips. Puddles I feel are a little bit over exaggerated. I've been driving along at sort of 34, 40 miles an hour, hit a puddle and the car's, you know, just sort of gone sideways. Now, just driving road cars on the roads, I've never known a car to completely go sideways if it hits a puddle at that speed. Locking up. Oh. Now there's a good example of how much work they've done with the brakes. If you remember when this came out, the brakes were terrible. I was able to lock up there, almost go into the back of it, but come off enough to the point where it stopped locking up and then keep my foot there so the car kept slowing down and didn't go into the back of him. So the brakes are feeling so good in this. Force feedback is good. I am feeling what's going on with the road. I'm feeling the load change. The steering in this is quite heavy most of the time. Now this car, they did do quite a lot of work on the aerodynamics with this. It's not up to today's standards, but it did have some. You can feel it when that starts to kick. You can feel it much more in the more modern car I'm going to try and use at the modern version of this track. But I'm getting plenty of feedback. Oh! This is one of my favourite corners, that one we've just gone around. That's Egypt Corner, which is, the name was changed to Mobile 1 Corner in the 2002 version of the track. I'm enjoying this muchly. I'm in the wet. I'm keeping up. What position are we in? '29th. I'm enjoying it, but I'm not doing terribly well. But I haven't crashed. I'm not dead. These mirrors, if you don't look at the virtual mirrors and look at the actual real mirrors of the car, pretty small, you couldn't have seen much of a car was approaching you from behind back in the 1970s. Driving this thing really gives you a lot of respect for those old F1 drivers. I mean, you hear older drivers say cars these days drive themselves. They are a lot better. But I think with a car like this, you know, it's interesting because you have to be so precise. Like I said, you're either on the throttle or you're off it, and with either of those inputs, you've got to be gradual and gentle, and there is also a time for feathering. Oh, car's slowing down quite a lot. I wonder what's happened here. Has there been an off? Oh, I'm going to take advantage of it. I'm going to take on the grass. I have noticed, by the way, if you go on the grass, it will. You can see it picks up the grass texture. Another nice little feature. I spent more time in RS2 over this weekend than I think I have done so far, at least offline. I've been racing a lot online. Right, can we try and get a few positions? Or are we? Oh, we're on the last lap. That's not going to happen. Look at that sky. Some of the weather effects in this are really good. They look fantastic. Raindrops on my visor here. And there we go. Across the line. Race complete. Cooldown lap active. That's a good point, actually. Another thing I like is that you have the cooldown lap, because of course, without the air going through the radiators after a long race, these cars get really hot. So if you just stop, I've had the engine blow just through stopping, and you can see that on the temperatures. A little note about cooldown laps and this section of the track. During the 2002 Grand Prix, after this track had been changed, the design had been changed to the shorter version, Martin Brundle, the ex-racing driver, who actually comes from just down the road here in Norfolk. We used to have the Martin Brundle garage just down here. Don't know what's going on with the car ahead. It keeps graphically glitching there. A few little graphical bugs still in the game. During the 2002 Grand Prix, he was commentating, and he was saying that him and quite a few other drivers didn't enjoy racing the old version of the track, because of the amount of DNFs that would happen, because the cars would spend so long at full speed that a lot of them would just burn out. However, this is quite contrary to what some of the other drivers, I think it was Truly and let me think here. Yeah, Truly and a few of the other drivers, Pablo Montoya, when they complained about the new version, said they missed the character and the technicalities of this old track. I have to say, the new track, 2002, is the one I'm used to, and that's my favourite version. I am gradually falling in love with this version, I must say. But I don't understand why they didn't like the new version. I think it was a fantastic design, you know. But then again, it was designed by a racing driver, so. Old Herman there did a good job, I think. So, that's the historic version. I'm very pleased with it for $7.99 for all of these versions. I think that's fantastic. Where's our pit speed limiter? We've got a pit speed limiter, even though I don't think this car would have had one. Where is my pit speed? This is another thing I like. Reminds me of GTR2, these animated pit guys. Look at that. So, that's that. Hope you enjoyed that. And now, let's get ourselves out of here and have a look at the new version of the track. So, a 2002 version of the track that we're now going to, lap times, as you can see, it's a hell of a lot shorter. The whole forestry section that would have been up here is completely cut off, if you follow my cursor there, by parabolic curve here. It's much shorter, although you still have very fast sections. Down here in modern cars you can hit 190, so you're still getting massive speed, but there are a lot of tighter turns. And in the 2002 Grand Prix that was held here, cars were hitting about 118 in the lap times on average. Talking of the cars, so it was Schumacher that won in 2002, and he was driving a Ferrari, and that was the 2002B Ferrari, which was 900 horsepower, 3 litres, and a V10 with 7 speeds gearbox, and weighing in at 600 kilograms. So we don't have any Ferraris in this game, and I'll say yet, because I don't know what's gonna. It's quite exciting with what Reiza keep bringing out and all of the planned DLC. By the way, there is a surprise at the end of this video for you guys on what may be coming, so hang around for that. So what I'm going to do is we're going to come down here to Formula V10. We're going to use this car, which is a V10. It has 7 speeds, just like Schumacher's car did. It has traction control, like Schumacher's car did. It is 870 brake horsepower, so very close to what Schumacher's car was. So that is what we're going to select. This time round, we're going to be the race that was held in 2002 when Schumacher won was in the dry, so that's what we're going to have. And well, let's get the track loaded up. So yeah, the F1 decided, or the F1 officials decided that they needed to shorten the track. In 2002, it was facing competition for other shorter tracks around the world that wanted their seat in the Grand Prix calendar. They managed to get the state government to finance this design by Hermann Tilke, the German engineer, racing driver, and engineer, who, as I said, designed so many tracks, it's unbelievable. One of them is the A1 ring, which we'll find in this game under the name of Spielberg, another one of my favourite tracks. The stadium section mostly stayed the same. Nord's curve was tightened up a bit. As I said, the whole forestry section was chopped off and torn up. And also, the seating capacity was extended. What we're on here, tyres wise, let's have a look. Automatic by weather, yeah, slicks, that'll be fine. Yeah, the seating capacity was extended, mainly thanks to Mercedes sponsoring a massive new grandstand. So the seating went up to 120,000 people. The new layout is also, as well as the main track, host to one of the largest quarter-mile drag events in Europe, the Nitro Olympics. So you've got a drag strip on this track. There were about 37 Grand Prix here, and it shared the German Grand Prix with the Nürburgring, or the Nürburgring GP, excuse me. And it also has a rallycross section, which is in the stadium area. That hosted the first World RX of Hockenheim. Anyway, we're in our V10. Let's get out there and have a little look around the track. Listen to that. Much bigger mirrors on this car. And I'm swapping to my paddle shifts. Oh. I was using my stick shift. on the Logitech driving force steering wheel. I'm switching to my paddles now, and this car quite a bit faster. And this is turn 1. Of course, on the old track we would have been going straight on into the forest section, which is no longer there. Jim Clark's memorial that was placed by the side of the track has been moved somewhere around here, where it would have gone into the forest. What's behind us? We're okay. So we come round turns 3 and 4 onto the parabolica. Now, I was a bit slow getting out of there, so we might not hit 190 by the end of the straight, but in this car, certainly you are hitting about 190. Superb brakes on this car, and none of that understeer problem on the old car. The old car, I was getting lap times of something like, I tried it a few times around here, I was getting lap times in the 140s. In this thing, I've been able to manage lap times of 120 after a little bit of practice. Still slow compared to the drivers from the 2002 Grand Prix who were hitting 118s on average. The fastest lap ever around here, let me think, I just have to slow down to think. The fastest lap ever was a 111 in 2018, and that was by Sebastian Vettel in a Ferrari. Not sure what Schumacher's fastest lap was around here when he came round in 2002. Anyway, here is our, as you can see, the stadium section has got a lot more seating. You can see over there the famous giant oil can, which used to be a Mobil 1 oil can. I think it was changed in 2014 to Revin oil. The difference, how good the two oils are, I don't know. Anyway, so here we go on parabolica. Let's see if we can hit 190. Over there on the right is the Mercedes grandstand. Huge grandstand there. As we come up to hairpin, not quite hitting 190, but I'm not paying attention. You really want to be clipping that apex, that hairpin. I just realised I've got no track penalties yet. So, obviously I'm not driving too badly. That corner you can take nearly flat out. If you come round here into Mercedes curve, or Mercedes corner. I love this, that dip there. Reminds me of the bomb hole at Snetterton on that apex there. As we come into what used to be Egypt corner, now Mobil 1 corner. I absolutely love that corner. We come into Sachers, this part of the track, which is the least changed part of the track in the new version. Round Sud curve, and I'm feeling the track, I'm feeling all of the curves. The car feels great. The steering is much lighter than the 1970s car. Lord's corner there is a lot tighter. Yeah, the steering is much lighter, but that's until you get up to high speed, and the aerodynamics start taking full effect. Then your steering really starts to stiffen up. I have noticed with this game, it's an effect that you can feel a lot. You can feel the downforce load up on these cars. We just hit 190. We hit 190 at the detriment of our cornering almost there. Almost completely outbraked ourselves. I have to say, you know, I'm loving this at the moment. The AI, look at that. The AI are going for the move and then backing off there a lot. Maybe it's because I've got them down at 50. I didn't want to dare try them above that before this update because there were problems, but I think now I may do. This corner, as I said, Mobil corner, I absolutely love it because the corner just before the Mercedes stadium, you can take nearly flat out. That corner, you can go too fast, and you can go too slow. And there's so much curb to use on either side. Such a sense of achievement if you manage to get all of the curb on the inside and all the curb on the outside. Anyway, there we go. The drag strip is just behind me, by the way. Oh, hello, Alexander Young just set a new fastest lap. Good for him. So, let's park up here by the Jim Clark Memorial, which is somewhere around here. And let's get on with the race. Let's return to our pit box. We'll skip to the end and continue. Another little foible about this game, as of yet, when you go online and you get to the race, it doesn't tell you how many laps the race is. Also, down here, you know, you can see your car, but it doesn't tell you what it is. So if you're racing against different cars and they look similar, you don't know what they are. That's something I'd like to see improved. Anyway, stop moaning, tarmac, and get on with it. So, let's see. We've got 16 laps of fuel. I'm not going to change that. Doesn't really matter. We've got our slick tyres. Let's go racing and see how the AI behave around here now. Okay, so at the back of the grid once again. And here we go. A little bit of smoke coming off all of the wheels there. I like to see that on the AI as well as myself. Let's see what happens as we approach Nord curve. Oh, not bad. Not bad at all. All got round there safely. There we go. I'm going to call this Clark corner because his memorial's here. And in fact, it's just called turn 2 normally. 3 and 4 onto the parabolica, and I'm not keeping up very well. Let's see if I can catch up by hairpin. Feel the bumps in the road coming down. Can you hear the car grounding out there? And oh, the AI were crashing into each other, as well as, you know, the risk of them crashing into you. They were crashing into each other horrendously, flat out around here, just before this last update, and now they seem to be conducting themselves in a much more civilized manner. Much better on the first lap, much more spread out. And let's see if we can get both curves of this corner. Just got the inside, use the outside, done it, love it. I'm so pleased to be racing this track again. Oh, round the bank corner, Sash's corner there. As we come up to the sub-curve on the left there, that is the start of the drag strip. Let's see if we can make a few places before the race is over. Got a very short race here, just four laps. As I found out in my last video, the Rfactor 2 video with the McLaren, you really need to be awake to drive these Formula 1 cars. Really feeling those bumps as we come down there. The other thing that I'm liking is the sort of cold brake and tyres feeling. I think it's pretty well done in AMS2. Flat out as we come up to the Mercedes Stadium, or the Mercedes grandstand. I want to try and make it past it. The AI is so much better. This last little update, because I wasn't sure as I was racing around here if it was just this track that was bad, because there were some terrible problems with the AI, and this has much improved them. I'm very, very pleased. Doing 114 round Nord's curve there. Oh, locking up a bit there. Oh! One thing I'm not feeling a lot of, I've locked the tyres a few times, and I'm not feeling a lot of flat spotting, which is in the game. I suppose it gets a little bit bumpier as the game goes, or as the race goes on, if you lock up a few times. But it's nowhere near as pronounced as, say, Rfactor. Oh! Slight touch there. Have I done any damage? I must say the damage on the newer F1 car doesn't seem to be as severe as what you get if you ding one of the older F1 cars. Seems I'm alright. That would have probably taken a wing from the real life. Seems I'm alright here. And make some positions. Come on. Steering's loading up. Got time to get in that slipstream. Take the round launch curve. Come on, come on. I'm very much enjoying myself, as you can probably tell. Hard on the brakes. Oh! Careful with down changes there. The first time I drove this car, down changed too quickly and blew the engine. A little bit of a fight with the AI there when I got through. They're not perfect, but this is such an improvement, I'm going to say. Literally 2 days ago, they were pretty terrible round here. I think they've done 1, 2, or maybe 3 hot fixes since this new version and the DLC. They really have sorted it out very, very quickly. Reiza Studios, I swear those guys don't sleep. And this V10 is a lot of fun to drive. Oh! Just losing the back end there, even though I've got a little bit of traction control on this car. Just overpowered it a little bit too much, and that slow corner there. Taking this corner at 90 miles an hour as compared to the 60 odd miles an hour I was taking it in the 1970s car. And there we are. Oh. I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that. Honestly, it was getting rather frustrating over the weekend with how the AI were behaving, but they've made major improvements. Major improvements. The next thing they need to tackle, I think, is how the AI behave over puddles and their acceleration in the rain, because, or in extreme rain, they just seem to have different abilities than you do. So that is the modern version of Hockenheim. There's all the other layouts as well. One I do like the national layout. I used to drive that a lot in the Power and Glory mod for GTR2. Of course, one of my favourite sims from way back in the day. So, I did say earlier that I've got a little surprise for you guys, and it's to do with this track. But for that, because I've missed the pits. Silly me. There's the pit speed limiter. Take that on. Because it involves well, a little bit of driving that you get disqualified for straight away. We're going to have to go into a test session. Look at that. Brilliant. There we go. Much fun, guys. Much fun. Very much enjoyed. So, let's return to the main menu. What did we get there? A 121 it looked like for our fastest lap. So not quite doing what they were doing in 2002 when Schumacher won. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the short version. It doesn't really matter, I could stay on this, but I'm going to select the short version of the track. Actually, when we come out here, I just want to go to a test day because there are no I can turn flag rules and everything off, but I just want the one car and no flag rules so I can drive backwards. Yes, what I'm going to do involves driving backwards, and I'm going to use a rather different car. This might be giving you some idea of what I'm going to try and have a look at. I'm using a four-wheel drive here. This is the Mitsubishi Lancer Rs. So let's quickly... Oh, that's a Brands hatch. Do we want to... Where's our Hockenheim ring on? There we go. So, as we know, there is more DLC coming for Automobilista 2. They are just tirelessly updating this game. I'm loving it. It's, you know, Rfactor 2 is still my benchmark. I am loving this game though. It runs so well. Graphically, it looks amazing, and it is feeling better and better by the day. There are issues, you know, with tire champs, that sort of thing, but it's got a lot of content. I've learned about some great new Brazilian tracks, and as I mentioned earlier, this track has a drag strip, and I did also mention that this track has a rallycross section. Now, we're in a test session, there's no other cars on track, so we're going to go the wrong way down the pits. Now, there is the World Rallycross and the RX FIA series, and I know that there is an adrenaline pack on the way, a pack called the Adrenaline Pack for this game, which is going to have off-road cars in it. So what does that suggest, guys? Now this is the drag strip. As you can see, it's actually blocked off. Now I know that the World Rally Championship, when it's at Hockenheim, starts here on the drag strip and comes down here. Of course, that barrier isn't there. It's just it's not there on the track. Then you turn left into Mobile Corner, my favourite corner. This is how the World Rally track goes. Comes up here, you get the cars, you know, going sideways like that. Oh, properly. Why have I gone so sideways there? Didn't expect that. Wasn't even going too fast. Excuse me, folks. So they come around this corner to the left, and then there's a bit of a rallycross section that they go through. And look, it's actually here. And look at the ground. Hear that? The dirt is modelled. And if you look down here, the curbs are there. There you see, there is the rest of the rallycross track. Now, as you can hear, there's an invisible barrier. We can't drive down there, but you can see that the track is actually there. Now, of course, it goes round that corner there, and the straight, or that bit of the track, then runs parallel with this bit, then comes out a little bit further along down here. So you can see the dirt there. And it comes over onto this bit of road here. And if I just reverse here, there you go, you can see that dirt part of the track. Takes a hard right-hander across the main track over to here, and then goes off round this long corner here, which once again is blocked off, but the track is there, and driving over it you can feel that the mud is kind of modelled. And then it comes round in a curve to here. You can see the Joker Lap. There's two lanes there. You've got the Joker Lap, and then they come out of here, turn right round here, complete the circuit from the start of the drag strip there and round again. So what I'm thinking is if we're going to be getting off-road rally tracks, seeing as it's already kind of modelled there, will we be getting the WR or the World Rally. Will we getting any World Rally off-road cars? And will we have in the future the Rallycross version of Hockenheim? So there you go. There's some food for thought. Well, here endeth my little look at Hockenheim for $7.99. Absolutely well worth it. Really enjoying the cars. Really enjoying that track. Beautifully done. And very surprised with the AI. As I say, I'm stunned. This update that came 6 minutes in just before me making this video has really made a difference. Guys, if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe. You'd be doing me a massive favour. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you for another video soon. Cheers, and auf Wiedersehen.